to my little homestead. This is Howard, and he's here to show you his new chicken and duck coop. He's very excited about it, and so am I, because it means I don't have to go into an unsafe building that came with this house. So come on over, we'll do a tour, and I'll show you some tips and tricks that I learned along the way. So here we are downstairs in the coop, and this is where we have the duck quarters. So this is where my ducks live. It's got a nice low ramp so that they can get up it easily, and it's downstairs away from the rest of the chickens. The ducks like to be messy and party all night, and the chickens don't. So this gives them their own little area to be their rowdy little partying selves. You're being noisy. This also down here we have the water and the food. So I've got a food area for the ducks because they like to have a pail. Although actually I found my ducks can eat out of the automatic chicken feeder too, which is generally not advised, but they seem to do it just fine. They have their water down here too. It's really nice to have their water separate from their living area, especially for the ducks, because again, they like to splash around and be messy. So this is their kind of outdoor area within the coop that's fully protected with the hardware cloth. And then during the day, I let them out into the larger run as well. So now we're going to go upstairs to the chicken area. So here we are upstairs in the chicken part of the coop. And so the chickens can go up the ramp that was on the bottom, and they'll pop out right here through this hole. Are there any chickens down there today? Hello?
Hello.
What? Up here we have the chicken roosts. So theoretically they should be able to roost up here, but they haven't really started using these much yet. I've been told it takes a couple of weeks for them to get used to them. I've used 2x4s on their sides so that the chickens can fully cover their feet when they're roosting. That's supposed to help them out in the winter on those cold nights. I also have a droppings board here. So this really helps keep the coop clean. I had one in my last coop as well, and you can scrape the board. It cuts down on the ammonia smell. You just put it into a sealed bucket, and then your bedding stays fresh for longer. Over on this side we have the laying boxes, and so the chickens can come in here and lay their eggs. It's really important that the laying boxes are lower than the roost, otherwise the chickens will want to roost in them. So they can lay their eggs here. And then we have a hatch that's accessible from the outside of the coop, so we can just go open the hatch and check for eggs.
Said hatch.
Do you want me to open the hatch?
And this gives you easy access to the eggs.
Ooh. When you're ready to design your chicken and duck coop, you'll have to decide if you're going to use an existing structure or build something new. In my case, I was super fortunate to find this playhouse, which was free as long as we came and got it out of this person's yard. It was a great deal, although moving it was not without its challenges. We really had to coax it onto the flat deck trailer using 2 vehicles and 3 of us. But we were able to do it, and I think after some modifications, we've made a pretty nice coop with it. When you're thinking about the square footage you'll need, you'll want at least 2 square feet per chicken of indoor living space. In my case, I have about 3 square feet for each of my 8 chickens, not including the laying box area. Down below, I also have a little outdoor area, which is just used for the chickens and ducks before I get there in the morning to let them out. But in your chicken run, you'll want at least 4 square feet per chicken. In my duck area, I have about 5 square feet per duck. I only have 2 ducks at the moment, but you'll want at least 4 square feet per duck. One aspect that's often overlooked in chicken coop design is ventilation. It's really important that you have adequate ventilation for your coop. Chickens and ducks are producing ammonia in their feces that needs to be vented. As well, they produce a lot of moisture, and you need to let that moisture get out so that it's not making your birds too cold in the winter. In my area in southern BC, with adequate ventilation, I don't actually need insulation in my coop. So you'll want to aim for at least 1 square foot per bird of ventilation. In my case, I was able to do this ventilation on the gable ends of the coop, which is ideal because having the ventilation up high means it's not going to ruffle the birds' feathers while they sleep on the roost. I did have some windows in my treehouse, or now coop, as well, and so I decided to cover those with plastic just because they are right near the roosts. When you're designing your roosting bars, you'll want at least 8 to 10 inches of roosting space per bird. In this video, you can also see my spatula that I use to clean the droppings board. Thanks, Dad. And I've added these little tree branch slats to my roost in the hopes that it's going to encourage my birds to use the roost. So far, they're not using it. And when I go out at night, this is what I find. I've got a bunch of birds huddled up sort of under the roost, and even one in the laying box. So it's only been a few days that they've had these little ladder rungs, and I'm hoping with a little bit more time, they're going to start using them. For laying boxes, you want to make sure your laying boxes are at least 12 inches by 12 inches. In my case, I did 18 inches by 18 inches just because the geometry of the coop made that easy to do. One thing I added after the fact was this board in front, which has helped prevent the straw from getting kicked out of the laying boxes. The chickens are very proficient at doing that. And so once I added that, I also added that little perch in front so that they can get into the laying boxes easily. And they seem to be using the laying boxes very well. In fact, Henrietta, my duck hen, has decided that upstairs is a good place to lay eggs as well. And so she actually walks up the chicken ramp and goes in and lays an egg. Unfortunately, she doesn't use the laying boxes. She lays them in the farthest corner of that upstairs part of the coop. So that sort of negates my easy access to eggs, but what can you do? Birds are birds. One thing you'll have to consider with chickens and ducks is they are prey animals, and so you want to make sure you can keep out the predators. I've used 1/4 inch hardware cloth on all of the openings to this coop. Be sure not to use chicken wire. Chicken wire is really used to keep chickens in. It will not keep predators out. This hardware cloth is much stronger, and I fastened it to the coop using washers that I bought off of Amazon and screws. I also lock my birds in every night, and I use a 2-step latch so that raccoons can't figure it out. Around the bottom of my coop, I have paving stones, and so animals can't dig under and get my birds. Another nice strategy I used on my last coop is a fencing apron. So you can do this around your coop or also around your run, which is what I did in this case. So you put your fencing down to the bottom and then you extend it out horizontally and cover it with dirt or straw or whatever you have. When predators come up to the border between the ground and the fence, that's the point at which they'll start to dig. And so if they start to dig and encounter the fence, they'll give up and leave. In my case, I'd love to have a fencing apron here in my new place, but because my run is about 60 by 90 feet, it would take a lot of fencing. So I'm hoping I can get away with locking my birds up at night and also installing an electric fence shortly. At my last place, I did have an electric fence, and I have nothing but good things to say about electric fences. They are super effective at keeping predators at bay. In fact, we never had a single predation event in this coop. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you got some good information for your chicken and duck coop. A lot of the information I have in this video has come from over the years looking at backyardchickens.com. So make sure you check them out. And if you have any questions, please write them in the comments below.